something. Let's kind of understand why we need pandas. So because you already have list as a data structure, you have tuple, you have dictionary. Uh, Maybe these are all might have already been discussed in previous classes, and you have other data structures as well, uh, even set. Did anybody kind of try to peep into a discussion where why we need a different library to read uh, Excel sheets or maybe anything? Because when I speak here in this format, we might have to understand one thing, that what is our data, uh, what kind of data we are kind of trying to read, whether it is a one-dimensional data, whether it's a two-dimensional data, or it is a multi-dimensional data. Maybe we might also have data in 3 dimensions or 4 dimensions when we deal with uh, three-dimensional space, or maybe more than that. Even if we kind of when we deal with some examples like or maybe some data set like uh, space analysis. Space means I'm talking about outer space, or maybe three-dimensional space when we are trying to deal with a person walking on the road and we are trying to analyze their body movements in XYZ axis. Now we have three-dimensional data. So now the pandas comes into picture when we have multi-dimensional data, even NumPy as well. I don't know if NumPy has been covered yet, but NumPy and pandas are more relatable to each other. So when it comes to pandas, especially, people will say that pandas is mostly useful to kind of read Excel sheets or CSV sheets, but basically it can read any n number of n number of data types. Something like I can note down a few here: CSV, Excel, then we have JSON. I can please stop me if you need any explanation on one of these data structures or maybe data types. I'll try to go into that in a couple of minutes as well. And then we have SQL data. Directly we can connect to any DB, and then we can give the SQL query itself to read the data from. And then we can read HTML as well. Then we can also read any data which is on clipboard. Nothing but you copy some data and you want to read the data automatically, then you can also use uh, read clipboard as syntax. I'll come into syntaxes later. And when we have HDF as data, okay, and we have so many other things like Parquet. I don't know, like these might be cryptic from here: HDF, Parquet, and so on. We also have Feather, we have Stata, we have SAS, we have SPSS, and so on. But most commonly used data sets or data types are these for in pandas, and these are very rarely used until unless some domain prerequisite is needed to use this kind of data sets, then they'll use. But most commonly used are CSV and Excel, and very like what not rarely I can say, but uh, apart from CSV and Excel, these are very commonly used, like JSON, SQL, and HTML. So when you are in a company working on some domain, most commonly used is SQL, because all the data is available in uh, data tables, whether it may be any database. Let it be MySQL, let it be Redshift in AWS, let it be Azure or something else. So we will have a SQL connection, and whatever the query you want to kind of use, you can use it here directly. Let's not like today, as we haven't covered MySQL or SQL yet, we won't be able to kind of see the example for SQL, but we can see examples for CSV, Excel, JSON, and HTML. But even JSON and HTML is one and the same. Ultimately, whatever the data you are reading uh, through pandas in JSON formats or HTML formats, it will convert it into a tabular format, something like an Excel sheet, and then it will, you can parse the data in whatever the way you want. So now let me just give me 1 second. Yeah. So I hope, like, if you are already having Anaconda environments or Spider environments, you might already have Pandas library. For ones like who don't have Pandas environment or Pandas library installed, you can simply use a command called pip install pandas. This will install pandas library on your system. So if your Python environment is available as a path environment variable, you can directly use this statement in command prompt. If not, you can use in your own Anaconda prompt or maybe in your environment. So anywhere in terminal, when you type this command, automatically pandas is installed. Please let me know if someone needs any help on installation. I'll be able to help. I may I can assume the customer for installing some library. I can do a
So, Andrew, you told like if we have Spider, so it is already existing, right? So, how do we check whether it is in, I mean, installed or not?
That's a very good question. Simply write import pandas and then run this particular command. And if you don't see any error like this, you can assume that pandas is already available. And if you don't see any error, like if you don't see any error, then pandas is already available. If you see
Okay.
any error, then you might have to run this statement called pip install pandas. So in live, you can see that I am uh, running this command pip install pandas, and once the pandas is installed, uh, I can run this command again so that you will see no error. Let me wait for a second, and then yeah, it is kind of indexing things. Yeah, so I have just run the thing, and you can see there is no error here. That means my pandas library is now in place. So just this line,
Yes. I
if
just checked. I mean, I verified in my Spider editor, so looks like it is existing.
yes,
I
that's
did
great.
not
So
get any error.
this is a in with Spider there is a bundled package with all data science libraries, like most commonly used libraries, which includes NumPy, Pandas, scikit-learn, and stats, and couple of other libraries like Matplotlib library and Seaborn. This bundled package will be already available. If you are using any different version of Spider, please use this command in terminal. That will help you to install pandas. And as we have already imported pandas, and very usual thing is now you read the data from CSV. As I already have given a link in the chat, I have pinned it. Please click on the link, download the Excel sheet. Let it be anywhere in your system. It is not necessarily to have on desktop or downloads. Let it be anywhere on your system. We need to take a relative path of that particular Excel sheet and go through our session. So before we even enter into pandas, let's do some common operations in Excel itself and understand what we are trying to do. Something like, maybe I'll just open this. This is the data set which you kind of need on your system to be available. Let me save as Excel. That is what it is saying. Excel. Oh, please I'll wait for a couple of minutes for everybody to have this Excel sheet on your system. Please let me know once you have it.
So we need to download it, right? And readily
Yes,
You
available.
yes. Keep it handy on your system anywhere, and you can even open along with me.
you mentioned the way of checking whether the pandas are installed or not. What was that?
So simply click, like write this statement called import pandas
Okay.
and run your editor or run your code. And if it throws no error, then that means that your uh, package already has pandas.
Yeah, hi Andrew. Like I have imported the pandas, but it's showing me the indication that the pandas has already imported, but unused 5 flags in. I'm getting
That
an
is,
indication.
then you can ignore that, not required. So
Okay.
as pandas is available, you need not worry about anything else.
Okay.
Yeah. Please confirm me once you have your Excel sheets or CSV sheets. Anything is fine.
Yeah, it's downloaded now.
That's great.
It's
So
with us.
yeah, great. So let's kind of do some small analysis. So why I want to do this example is because to uh, signify the essence of pandas. So assume that now with this data set, somebody will ask me an insight, maybe what is the how many number of units we have sold in some city. So as we have a column Q, which is ship city, and we are trying to kind of identify how many, or maybe what is the amount of, how many quantity of whatever the uh, item it is. Let it be a pen, let it be a cycle or anything else. This is a Amazon dataset, basically e-commerce dataset. So what I'm trying to find out is what are the what are the number of units sold in one particular city or one particular state. Let me take an example of Telangana itself. So now what I usually do in a very manual method, I can do it in two ways. One is I can filter out this Q column with a with the state name Telangana, and then I can simply count. This is the quantity column, n column, and I'll count the quantity column, and you can see sum is 10,253. This is one method. The other method I can do is I'll just go back. I'll remove this filter right now, and then instead of applying filters, I'll select the data. I'll uh, create a pivot table for this, and then probably put where is the ship city? Yeah, we have ship city. I'll just put the ship city in filters, then change it to Telangana only. Let me search
Can you
Telangana.
zoom in your file a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Hope it
fine.
is visible. Yeah. So sorry, ship state. Yeah. So ship state. Let me put it in filters, and then in filters, let me search for Telangana only. I'll not select all. I'll only put Telangana. And then now whatever my odd quantity column is there, I'll just put it in values. It will add up to 10,253. So both the ways we are getting answers. Okay. And this is a better practice, so that now whenever you want the quantity of a different state, you can simply change the filter and it comes up here. Okay. Earlier in the previous way, which we have done, we have to add it in other cell, or maybe we have to view at this particular place what is the sum of the quantity. But now what if you have to do further analysis? Now this is fine, you can already do the same thing with pandas as well. So what is the difference between doing it in Excel and what is the difference between doing it in pandas? So pandas will help you to kind of do all these pre modeling things. Pre-modeling things, nothing but assume that now tomorrow I need not only want to see how many quantity has been sold this month, but I might have to worry about how much quantity we might have to sell. We might sell next month. Something like we want to do some forecasting thing. So now what people do in a company is that they kind of create a model on this. Let it be machine learning model, let it be statistical model. Let's deal how they do this in further modules, maybe in statistics or maybe in further. Usually data analyst doesn't need that scope of creating a model, but I'm trying to create that overview of why pandas or where pandas is extremely used. So now when this data is required for creating a model which will forecast the sales for future months depending on the data which we have for previous months, we cannot actually do everything in Excel and like what push it to a model. So that is where pandas comes in. We do several things in pandas. This is one of the example I took. We might have to worry about what are the values which are missing in Excel sheets. So that whatever the reporting analyst usually do in their day-to-day life, like very manually, can be automated through pandas. Something like maybe you see here, I may have to only take what is the courier status, or maybe let me just reiterate my statement. I may have to only take those orders which are shipped but not cancelled, or maybe it doesn't have any status. So if you see here, I have three different types of courier status, or four different types. One is shipped, unshipped, cancelled, then we have blanks. So blanks is nothing but doesn't have any data. So we need not like we need not uh, uh, we are not supposed to kind of take the blank data because we don't know what is the status of the courier. So we only take shipped status. So I have to put a filter here as well, and then only take this data and then count again about for Telangana. So all these manual things can be done very structured and automated way, such that in furtherly when you want to change anything, you need not again mess with the whole sheet. Instead, you can only mess with one single syntax in pandas, which will change the results for you. Let it be like what we have done for courier status, or let it be for some other column, something like you can see column E, which is fulfillment, whether it is sold by Amazon or whether it is sold by a third party merchant. So this all things we can put, or these all things we can include in a single line of code and get the results immediately. So we'll see this in action as well in pandas. uh, so hope I was able to kind of explain why pandas is kind of helpful, or where pandas is helpful in real time. Please let me know if you need further explanation on this. I can wait. I can pause for a minute here. I'm taking silence as no, and then continuing
I
for.
think it's clear. We can see how the usage works.
Sure. So now we have already imported pandas. Let's kind of read the data first. So whatever is available in Excel sheet, now we can see with our human eye here in the Excel tool, but the same thing is not available in any editor. We might have to read we might have to read Excel sheet explicitly, something like we read user inputs with the input command in console. So here we have a line called pandas dot read CSV, because you might have already downloaded CSV files. So you can use this line and then give the path of your Excel sheet or CSV sheet. So I have the CSV sheet in downloads, and then I'll just copy the path. If it is Windows, you can simply click on Shift, hold on Shift, right click on that, and you can see copy as path option. I am using Mac. I can simply copy using Command Control C. So, and I'll just paste it here. Make sure that you have it in quotation marks. And let me know if you are able to do this step. This is a crucial step. You might have only errors here. Beyond this, you won't see any errors in your editor. You'll only see errors when you are importing the data. I can take a variable here. Example A is equals to something like this, and then maybe uh, just print A for now. There is another command in pandas which I'll cover to read only first few rows. But just to kind of ensure that the data has been loaded, you can simply use print A to familiarize yourself with the previous commands only, not something new. I can run this. You can see that something has printed here, nothing but that the data has been loaded for me, and hopefully I'm expecting the same for you as well. In Windows, please use R as prefix here, because it will allow you to kind of read the relative parts. If you don't use R here, that might not read it properly. And doesn't make any difference in Mac as well. Putting R or not having an R doesn't make any difference, but in Windows, this R is very crucial. It is this will help Python environment to identify relative path of whatever the path you are actually giving here, and it will directly find the location. And usually in Windows, you might need \/ for the separators here, but having an R here will you can avoid that \/ to read any path or input any path. So these are the useful things about R or relative. Please let me know if the data has been imported successfully, and so that I can move further.
Excuse me. Yeah, where will get that link? Users that you
I
can
have
link
it.
that,
I have
that
pinged it.
link.
Yeah, here in the command. Come.
That is we need to
Acha,
copy and paste,
this
right?
link you are asking me.
Yes,
Oh, no.
yes.
Okay, this link, what you can do if you are on Windows, hold on Shift key on your keyboard, and then right click on this particular file, and you will see an option called copy as path.
Come again. Shift.
Hold on to shift and right click
You
on the
can right
file,
click and get. You can right
and you
click
will
on the
see
file
a you will see a line called copy as path. A small option called copy as path.
No, it's not coming.
you can simply right click on it and get it as
Do you
copy.
want to turn on sticky keys is coming?
Maybe you are not maybe you are multiple like you are clicking multiple times. You have to hold on to
Okay.
shift. Immediately hold on shift and click like right click the file. Need not wait for a couple of seconds.
Quickly, you can share the screen, Vaishnavi.
Yeah, that will also help.
Krishna,
Press and hold the shift key.
10 screen. Here share option is not coming. Entire screen. When I click entire screen, here share option is not coming. Window.
That's okay. After right clicking on it, just Alt A. Take it as Alt A.
Or you can use Control Shift C as well to copy the path as a shortcut.
Control Shift.
Krishna, the spider thing that we use, the ID,
Dhaval, what you are saying?
we use that spider thing, no? ID to write the programs.
Uh,
So in that when I'm trying to see panda, do we have to see there whether the panda is
same it will work, no?
No, I don't think it is not working for me. It is working for
Okay. So whose
For
screen
other-
whose screen it is?
Yeah, mine.
Okay.
Vaishnavi.
Okay, Vaishnavi. Okay. Go to where is the file is saved? Where is the file is downloaded?
Download is there.
No, that .csv file is there, no? Where it was?
that CSV file.
Yeah, this one only, right? Amazon sales report. Not this one.
Okay, you are sharing the only this window seems.
Uh-huh.
Okay, entire screen should have been. Okay, where
So I need to go downloads. That is a Amazon sales report you're asking.
yes.
Yeah, is there?
Your
No, you
entire
are,
screen should
you are
be shared.
sharing only spider window. That's why we are not able to see that.
Mm-hmm. So stop sharing. That is option is not coming from my end actually.
Okay.
Entire screen is there, but share here is not coming. Like window only is enabled to share. Entire
If it is
screen
a
here is
download,
not sharing.
it is the download. I can share my screen and tell.
Yeah, Madhu, you can share.
That will
You
be
have to
really
click
helpful.
on that entire screen, that thing is below that entire.
Okay, may I stop my screen?
Yeah, Madhu is showing. Yeah.
Hope it's visible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Copy as path.
Yeah, this is the option you might get. Yeah. And it is available with all versions of Windows, no matter what version you are using.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Great. That's really great. So I'm resuming my screen. Yes, I think you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So please let me know if everybody can see this kind of output in your Spider window or Spider console
Yeah, we are
when you
able to.
print. Yes, that's great. So now you can see it is kind of printing all the messy things. Like you might not be able to see all the columns because of the console size is very small, and you may only see first 5 rows here and last 5 rows, but not the all the rows because of the console size again. So now we always need not to print everything. In order to save this, you can use a statement called head. Let me just write it here. Print a dot head. So this is a uh, statement or syntax which we can use only to print first 5 rows. So when I run this, probably it will only print first 5 rows. Give me 1 second. Yeah, you can see only from 0 to 4 indexes. I am only able to see first 5 rows. So this is one of the important syntax, very commonly used, the first syntax to ensure that you have imported your data properly. You can use the syntax, but always when you are using pandas, you might need to kind of use pandas dot something and so on. So you can always create an alias or a short form for this. So now you have import pandas here. You can simply create an alias with using a command, using a keyword called as, and then say PD, which is very commonly used notation called PD. You can use any notation. I can write even my name or the half of the name Anu. That will also work. So I can just say anu.read CSV. That will work, but it is not commonly used. So let me show you that it works and then change back to PD. You can see it is one and the same. Nothing got changed. PD is the most commonly used notation. It is simply an alias for the name, or it is simply a short form for replacing, or maybe when to decrease or avoid writing pandas every time, you can simply use PD or any alias which you use. So this also works with all different libraries. Let it be NumPy, let it be a scikit-learn, which you might work tomorrow. You can simply do import NumPy as NP, and that is all you need. Okay, so you can use any notation, the short form. You can even use single letter, but usually and two letters are used, and this is the very commonly used notations, PD and NP for these libraries. So now even whatever the data type which we have listened, like list tuple, even for data in CSVs and Excel sheets, we have a data type for that, which we call as data frame. So instead of A, people always use DF, or maybe if you have Amazon dataset, I'll just use Amazon underscore DF, the most commonly used notation. So why I am explaining these notations as well, because it will allow other fellow developers to understand what you are trying to write and what data type it is kind of picking up. So DF is nothing but a data frame. So any two-dimensional data which has multiple types of data. So now you can see in an Excel sheet, one column might be numeric, or maybe integer. One column might be float. One column might be a character-based column. One might be strings. So all data are kind of combined in a two-dimensional data structure, which is called a data frame. So usually this data frame, if this the same two-dimensional data frame is only numeric, or maybe only float or any other numerical data type, then that will be a NumPy array. We can deal that later. But for now, sticking with pandas, you can simply stick to data structure called data frame. So whatever the data you are reading from any CSV, Excel sheet, or other data types like JSON, SQL, HTML, and so on, everything will be converted and parsed as a data frame. So always, yeah, this is a thumb rule. So whatever you are reading in pandas will be a data frame if it is two dimensional. And we have one more type of data called series. So I'm just writing here series, and I'll also write why we have series. So if you're only reading one column from this particular Excel sheet, we call that as series, single dimensional. So single dimensional data dimensional data is called series, and if you have multi-dimensional data,
పద దాడి కూడా వస్తున్నా ఫోన్ అడగట్టు
is called data
Convert.
frame. So please ensure that you understand this
ఫోన్ అడగద్దు
concept.
అసలు
Why? Because at times when we are going further in the class, today or tomorrow, we might most commonly use both of these things. So when we are actually using two or more columns, we might refer it as data frame. And when we are using only one column, we might refer it as series. And syntaxes for data frame and series will differ in a way which might see which we can see in future. But today it is not very often used, so need not worry. So currently I'll only use df to kind of make it short. You can use Amazon df if you want. So df.head is will actually allow you to print first 5 rows. Then you can use one more print statement to see like to kind of print df.dtypes. So this is a syntax. I'll always write the comments here itself. Use to print first 5 rows. And then d types will allow you to kind of print what all what every column, what is the data type it contains. Okay, use it to identify data types of columns. This is similar to a type syntax which you use in regular Python. So if you want to like what identify type of any variable, you'll simply use print type of b, print the data type of that variable. Here it will print the data type of all the columns. Okay, so let me just run this so that you can view the output. So you can see here you have index which is integer, you have all these things in objects. I'll come to what is object, no need to worry. And you can see you have some floats, you have a boolean as well, nothing but true or false only, or maybe one or zero accordingly. Okay, can you please let this session be interactive. Let me know if you can see this output in your console.
Can anyone in the spider ID say this thing? I'm not able to get.
For me, the command print df.dtypes is showing error.
Can you please paste the error on the chat so that I can see what is the error? It shouldn't show any error usually.
Give me a second.
Yep.
Or you can share the screen, Madhu.
Undefined name df.
Maybe you might forgot replacing a df in line number 11 on my screen. So here if it is a and you are using df down, it will throw an error because it doesn't know what is df. So that might be the error which you encountered. So please replace this a with df or the other name with df, or whatever is available here, you just put it here before d types or prefix to d types.
Okay, there at the line number 13, we need to mention assigned variable, right?
Yes, assigned variable. Exactly.
Got it. I didn't change it. Thank you.
Yes. So it is a very common error. So please ensure that you are using the same variable which you used when you are importing your data and to all the below syntaxes which we are using now. I can be of further help if you still see the error. And when it comes to object data type here, so when you see object nothing but it has mixed type of data. Assume that in the same column called order ID, there might be string, there might be numeric, or maybe the data type is text or something else. But it maybe few order IDs have alphanumeric string and few order IDs have only numbers. So now the pandas will think that okay, this column has multiple data types, I am unable to identify which data type it is. That at that particular point of time it will refer it as object. So this is not at all a thing to worry until unless you want to specify a particular data type. Assume like date. So date is also having a special data type which is called date time. Okay, so if this date time is not shown here, it will assume, the pandas will assume that this date column is actually a string column. And when you are when you try to kind of do some analysis like how many orders have been take place yesterday or day before yesterday using date column, it might throw an error because it doesn't know this column is a date column. It will think this is a string column, and it will fail when you are writing date syntaxes. Something like you want to add a date for today date, something like today is 3rd April, and you want to kind of sum the quantity what has been delivered or shipped on 2nd April. Now what you do, the usual approach is you will either you will use date type, take the today's date, subtract 1 day from today, which is 2nd April, and then that date you will try to supply to the pandas or maybe Excel sheet and see the thing. So now what happened here is, as the two data types mismatch with pandas and what we are trying to supply, which is date time, it will throw an error. So I'll kind of cover that example when we deal with such kind of scenario. Like, we'll definitely cover. I have the complete structure for today. So just make sure that you understood uh, what column should be in what data type, and if it is object data type, whether you have to worry or not. For order ID, you need not worry because you can assume it to be a string column. For even status, you need not worry. For even category, you need not worry. ASIN, you need not worry. But for some uh, like what columns like quantity, if quantity column is the object column, you need have to worry because when you are adding, okay, you know how strings add in Python. So if you add 1 and 1 in Python, usually if those ones are strings, it will become 11. So 11 is actually a wrong output. It has to be 2. So if this particular quantity column has object data type, then you have to change that particular column data type to integer. Okay, so we'll also see that example. So now you are able to find out what is the data type for each column, and you can along play with whether you have to change the column data type or not. So we can also see, like, one other mostly used uh, inferential syntax is df.describe. So df.describe basically describes, or let me just get the author explain you better. So now you can see, for whatever the numerical columns we have, it will show you how many rows we have. This is the number of rows number of data rows we have in that particular column. And what is the mean nothing but is average. These are all statistical inferences which you will be able to identify directly without any additional work using df.describe. So if you have to do the same in Excel, maybe I'll just go back to Excel. Now if you want to kind of do an average, maybe for which columns, let us assume for amount column, where we have amount column. Yeah, this column. So if you want to do an average for this column, you can see here it is already saying that average, it is already showing the average, count and sum. But what if you want to identify standard deviation and other statistical inferences? You have to again write a column, or you have to again write a formula saying that you want standard deviation like std dev, and then you have to supply the number of values, and then probably it will get you the standard deviation number. So but now here in pandas, the good part in pandas is that you can simply use one particular syntax called that describe, and it will describe all the statistical inferences, like basic statistical inferences. Not all, I mean basic statistical inferences. Something like you have what is the minimum value in that particular column, what is the maximum value, what is the 25th percentile value. These are quartiles. There is a one good concept called IQR, interquartile range. It is a statistical inference concept which we will see further in statistics to understand if our data set contains outliers or not. I assume that you know what is an outlier. Outlier, just to kind of define what is an outlier. Outlier is something which is very odd from the common things. To kind of immediately explain you might have 10, like a data set which has 10, 20, 30, 40 and 100 Okay, so you can see that these are like what differentiated by value 10, or every 10 intervals you have a value, but this has 60 intervals. Nothing but this is an outlier. This is not, this cannot be like what presented or placed with these numbers. So usually by seeing we can assume, we can identify this, but when you have millions and millions of records in your Excel sheet or maybe in your table, SQL table or any other table, so in that, identifying such outliers will be a very big task. So for that particular thing, what we usually do in statistical concept, whatever the value above 75th percentile of data will be an outlier, and whatever the value under 25th percentile of data will be an outlier. So this inference is will be a very hugely used when we kind of provide insights to people, and this can be also done using a simple box plot, which we will see further in matplot library session. So right now today, as it is pandas session, I will not make such examples. I have given you a quick explanation of what this inference is and why we use and where we use this inference. And you already know why we use min and max to only identify what are the minimum and maximum values in the data set. So this is one of the very good syntax which you might have to even memorize, that will help you a lot. Okay, so use to provide basic inferences or basic statistical inferences of the numerical columns only. Just please note this point, only of numerical columns, because you cannot find average or any other things for numerical columns. So please make sure that you understand this particular, like you kind of remember this particular keyword. So this will only describe the inferences for numerical columns only. So now this is good. And now assume that we have to identify how many missing values are there. So what are these missing values? So we might have already seen that some of the columns, let me remove the
Anu,
filter here.
Anu, sorry for the interruption. This Excel sheet,
Sure.
whenever you share, no, if you can
Yes.
enlarge, it will be better.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
Thank you.
So hopefully now it is better. Yeah. So what I was trying to say, now you can already see in this Courier status column, we have some blanks. So these are called null values. So most of the uh, columns usually have null values when they don't have the certain data, or this might be a typographical error as well. Assume that this data is collected through a survey, or maybe somebody is kind of making this data through a software, or maybe from the e-commerce site itself. Sometimes what happens is, due to any kind of issue in the website, or maybe when they are doing some adjustments in the data, they might actually misplace or remove the type of remove some values. Okay, it is a very uh, common mistake. Or maybe sometimes data itself has null values. It doesn't mean that always this will be placed manually, or it's a manual error. It is sometimes it's a software error, or maybe a website error, or it might be any manual error as well. So you can see, like, even though this is in Hyderabad, like this particular order is in Hyderabad, this currency has not been mentioned. We don't know why it is not mentioned. So this kind of data we cannot actually use, okay, for our inferences, or maybe to provide insights. So this row, if we actually use to identify, to kind of uh, check how many couriers have been shipped to Hyderabad, when you don't use when this has particularly has this particular uh, null value, this will not be counted as a number. So, or this will not be counted as a record. So we will basically remove these null values. And how to remove these null values is, like, before we even go to how to remove these null values, let's kind of identify how to or let's try to kind of uh, write a syntax to check the null values, then we'll kind of go to removing null values. So going back here, you can simply use print tf dot is null, and this will actually provide me all the null values. So you can see for every way, like for each column, wherever it is null, it will show you true, and wherever it is not null, it will show you false. So you can see for this particular column fulfilled by, at record number 2, you have true nothing but here in fulfilled by column. Let's go here in fulfilled by column. Yeah, in fulfilled by column, you can see the second record like 0, 1, 2. Second record has null value. That is why false for first two records. So you can understand this from your info, like this particular statement. So now what you can do further is you can write a small and saying that in this particular column, wherever is true, you remove those records. Okay, so I'll come to that example. Need not worry. I am trying to kind of explain you how to identify null values in each column. So hope this is done from everyone's end as well.
For me, it's
Yeah,
done.
yeah, that's great. I'll just also write the same here. Used to identify nulls.
Is it working for others as well? I'm still stuck at the first.
Please, if someone is unable to kind of you
I am stuck at the
please
first two.
share your screen so that we can identify issue. And we haven't yet like what started even uh, the very useful syntaxes in pandas. We have just covered the very commonly used first 5 4 syntaxes to identify the basic inferences from the data, so that we can go further, do some data analysis, like maybe you find out how many orders have been placed in a city, or maybe on one particular date, or maybe you can see how many have been shipped, how many have been cancelled on some other day. So all these kinds of inferences we can do using pandas, which we are going to cover further. So before that, like someone has issue with pandas or maybe their IDE, please you can share your screen and we can solve the issue before we continue further. Is someone sharing screen? Yes,
Yeah.
great.
I'm still stuck here. I don't. When I run this, it is only giving this.
It is correct. So as you can see in console, there is no error, nothing but pandas is already available in your spider package. So you can simply
But when I
you would
define
have
the
followed.
variable,
Yeah, you can
then
do a equals to pandas dot read CSV, read underscore CSV. No, pandas dot read underscore CSV. Yes,
okay.
and then open the braces. Yeah, you can paste the link from the download section. You can hold on to shift. Yeah, you can copy and then simply paste it here. Remove the extra quotations even in the yeah. Add a prefix called R. Prefix R. Yeah, and now you can just print A in the next.
Can we know again the significance of R here?
So when you okay, now as give me a second. Yeah, it is working for you.
Yeah.
Dhawal, can you do me a help? Can you remove that
Yeah.
R from that line 489? Yes. Yeah. So now if you can you run the same thing again? Okay, Spider is able to identify this, but usually in all the Windows systems, you will use double backslash to read any file, maybe in Python IDE especially. So now when you actually write R, it will allow uh, the Python to understand that you are taking a relative path of some file, and it will be able to directly point to the file through the same structure. Like it will firstly go to D source, and then go to that Dhaval like folder, then go to this file. If you don't provide R, it will randomly try to check without any relative like what path. sometimes it might not be able to find in Windows especially. This is not a problem in Mac. So as Spider is able to identify add a prefix R directly, so we need not worry about it. In other IDs, this is very much needed.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I am resuming my screen back.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I think you can see the screen.
Yes, Amrit.
Yes. So now we have so many columns. You can see like we have so many columns. Let's try to check how many columns we have. Simply write df.columns. So this is a line which will print all the columns available in that particular data. So you can see the column starts from index, and we also have an unnamed column. Let's try to also understand why we have an unnamed column here. But so you can see here we have some unnamed column. I don't know why. So it is because the name here is unnamed. Usually whenever I am downloading the dataset, it is by default. So you can remove this here, or you can also confine the number of columns when you are reading. So now what I can do, I can just create a copy, df needed. So I'm just writing a variable to make you understand more. Df needed. So here I only want to take the columns which I need, not the unnecessary ones. Now you can see that unnamed 22 column is not necessary for me. So what I usually do now, I'll kind of write a syntax which will allow me to only select the columns which I need from my data set and store it in a variable called df needed. So which will be df, the double square braces is needed because we are dealing with two-dimensional data, and you only kind of select these columns, not all the columns. Uh, you can see that I have removed unnamed 2020 unnamed colon 22 from my set of columns, and I'll print now df needed dot columns. So now this will only print, or I'll also let me also print df needed dot head. So which will print first 5 rows of this data frame now. It is not df, it is printing df needed dot head. So let me run this. And you can see the last column now is fulfilled by not the unnamed one. Or I can also do something else. I can completely remove all these columns for my example. I can only put first three columns: index, order ID, and date, to show you that it is kind of slicing the data set by columns. And you can see that there'll be only three columns at the end, not all the columns. So my df needed nothing but I am kind of trying to slice the entire data set to only minimal number of columns which I need, and then printing the data set for only first 5 rows to check whether it has been sliced or not. So in this particular section, you can see that we only 3 columns have been printed. Please let me know if you have understood this, because this is very needed, as any dataset might contain hundreds of columns, but when you are doing your analysis, you might have to slice your dataset with only the number of required columns for your business requirement, but not with all the columns. At that particular point of time, this particular syntax will be very useful, and you can slice your dataset with required columns and start your analysis even before the significance of this is it will save you memory space. It will save you the time of analysis. Assume that you are trying to describe the data with several statistical inferences. For calculating all those things, when you have sliced the data set with minimum number of columns, the time taken to calculate all the inferences also will be less. So it is both, you are trying to save time and space with this particular syntax, and it will be very handy for for you to also what are all columns you are using in for your analysis.
For me, df.columns is, didn't work.
You might have put these braces by mistakenly, especially for only df.columns. This open close brace is not required because this is not a method inside pandas. This is a you can simply assume it as a inbuilt variable. So if you have already covered functions concepts in earlier, wherever you see open close parenthesis is nothing but it is a function inside a file name called pandas.py. So when you are saying import pandas, nothing but somewhere in your laptop, pandas.py is a file available. Okay, so the Python is able to identify that file, and when you are writing import pandas, it is picking up that file. And when you are writing any method from these pandas, especially, it is trying to call that particular function and run the function. If you are about this, I can show an example immediately.
It's better, I guess.
Yeah, so you can see I have a file called main.py here, which has a function called print hi and hi name. So assume that I want to use this function as a part of a different file. Something like I want to use this particular function in pandas file or pandas session.py file, which is here. What I do, I can now use import main, or maybe let me file name, it will be better. Rename file. Okay. Test test module dot py. Why there is error? Yeah. So we have this ready, and what we do, yeah, import test module. So after we import test module, or we can, after we import test module, what we can do, we can simply we can simply call the thing called print hi, or we can do in a different way. We can simply say from import from test module import print hi. So now what this basically does is that it will pick up print hi function from test module, and we can use that here. I can simply say print hi, and I can pass my name, and probably now you can see that this particular thing works. Oh, sorry. Let me run this here. You can see hello group have worked from this particular file. I did not run test module. I have run session.py file. So what it basically did is it was able to identify that there is a file called test module, and there is a function called print hi inside test module, and I was able to call that print hi in as a part of our file. So even for any library, when you are importing a library in pandas, when you are importing a library in Python, you might use pip install or any other line to install the library. So what basically this statement will do is it will kind of download a Python file from the repository and put it in local folder. So in when you if you go to the location where Python has been installed, you will have a subfolder called libraries. Inside libraries, you will have all the Python files. So now when you are saying import pandas, first Python will check that whether I have a file named pandas in that libraries folder or not. If the pandas if pandas Python file is available in that folder, it will not throw any error. You will be able to call all the functions inside that file. Here, that is what I was doing even now with test module. So it is one and the same. I can now publish this to the outside world, okay, and then you can also do pip install test module in Python console, or maybe in any terminal, and accordingly use my print hi function from anywhere in the world. So it is not needed to always be available on your local system. When you install it will be the Python file will be automatically there, saved somewhere in your local system, which Python will be able to identify.
So basically, it helps that if you don't know what that function is, but someone outside person, if we defined already that function, we can fetch.
You can fetch, but there is another significance as well. Assume that you are creating a website now, and now this website will have multiple sections, like you will have registration, you will have you'll have login, you'll have something else, maybe creating a cart, creating a order, doing a payment gateway, all these things. So now instead of writing everything in one file, what is a best practice is that people will create 5 different files. One is for registration, one is for login, one is for creating a card, one is for order, one is for payment, and they will only use functions as in a different file. Like assume that this session.py is my final file which I want to run. I will have 5 different files in my folder, login, other stuff. I will import everything here, like import login, and then I'll do import registration, and then I'll import other files, whatever I have, so on. And then I'll use those uh, functions which I need to log in or register here. So whenever you click some button on the website, this function gets called. So this is more, we call it in software terms, we call it as modularity. Code need not to be complex and available as a one single file. You can always split your one big code in 5 simple files, and then call your functions accordingly in one file. So anybody who is actually reading your code will now only assume that they want to know about print high. So they need not worry to check in the same file. They'll go to test module, see what you have done, and then edit it here. Automatically it will work here. If you have some one file with almost all 10 lines, finding a function, editing a function, changing its modifying it to a different use case will be very hard, and it might break the pipeline. But if you can split this 10,000 lines into 10 different files, 1,000 lines each, you'll be able to identify the functions easily and modify them easily without breaking any pipeline. So it is just for modularity and better uh, like what is the uh, uh, process of identifying things. Now this seems so simple when we have only 10 lines, but when you have very big files, it will be a very hard thing. Something like assume any e-commerce site like Amazon.in only, you will have some thousands of items with thousands of categories and thousands of countries. So now what happens? Every country, uh, every item has to have a different file, or else what happens if you go on writing the code in same file for every item you have on Amazon? I don't think it will allow you to run that file. So that is where this modularity comes, and uh, you'll use one final file calling all these functions which you only need from different files. That is what ultimately we need to understand about having. So we even call this as modules. So Python files are also modules when you import them in a different file. So that is what you need to understand. I can also do one more example if you want. I can create one more file here instead of test module.py. Maybe say check status. So now I'm just adding this file to only see if the order status have been placed or not, or maybe name status. So what I'll do, I'll simply say I'll import test module here. So from test module, import print high, and then now what you kind of do is you call print high here. I'll say okay, I'll just take a variable called check and then say uh, delivered, and then I'll write a function define check status, and then I'll pass on the variable like parameter argument which you might have already learned, and then I'll just print status check. So now just see what I have done. Now I have this file, then this file, then this file. So I have 3 different files. So in the final file where we have this panda session.py, I want to know the delivery status of one particular function or one particular uh, file. So what I'll do, or one particular item. So what I basically do, instead of test module, because test module have already been imported here, it is not really required. Or let me do one thing else. I'll just say define print high as well. Sorry, print item name. So something like pencil or something. So now what I'll do, I'll just remove everything from here. I'll just say from check status. Rename file. Refactor. Yeah, check status. Import check status, and then you can simply do print check status. Actually, this is not even required. So now when I run this, it will print both. So you can see status delivered high pencil. So I just printed some random thing, but you can now what I did was I have imported the function from this file to this file, and from this file I took the check status to this file. So this increases modularity in real time world. Okay, so I always kind of propose this kind of solution to everyone. So please ensure that you kind of follow this kind of modularity when you are writing code. Even though you are a data analyst, you might have to write big codes in future. Maybe start doing web scraping, or maybe do a analysis of a data set, or any Excel sheet, or maybe any big SQL data. So at that particular time, having a single function for each like each analysis will be helpful. Something like you want to uh, identify some quantity by country, you can make it like what function which will allow you to kind of pass on arguments of country column and quantity column, and you will write a syntax to kind of add them, so that it will return that value whenever you want and with whatever the data set you want. We will see that example tomorrow with using functions to kind of explore more about the like what how this modularity works. But it's already 10:30. I think it is 1 hour session, and I've been kind of continuing for another hour. Nobody stopped me. Please let me know if you have any doubts in today's session. Uh, we can discuss more about aggregations, identifying some statistical methods like mean, median, average, like what mean, median, average deviation, and so on. To what is the
Yeah, that can be covered once the statistics part completion.
yeah,
Let's say.
yeah. Even like there are other things which we can do. Something like what we have done earlier in Excel sheet, that identifying number of like sum of quantity by city. Some kind of syntaxes will cover. That is very important, and then we can move on to statistics later. I can wait for 5 more minutes to listen to any doubts if you have and clarify, or
I
else
think
we can drop for today.
the session is overloaded with a lot of stuff here.
Oh,
If someone
I
has
think
a
I
question,
haven't covered anything. We only covered five syntaxes today, so it is very basic which we have covered today. So we need more time to cover more.
and request tempo rate should be a bit low. You're quite faster.
Sure, that's a good feedback. I'll follow from tomorrow. That I'll just go a little slower.
That's purely from my personal request because I'm not from this entire tech kind of thing. So
No worries.
that's
I got it. Thank you so much.
Hey, we didn't stop till 10:30 because it was interesting. Thanks for the session. And I have one question. So,
Sure,
is
please.
it mandatory to have, the file name without any spaces? Because I noticed that, earlier you gave check status with a space in between, and then you replaced it with that space with
Yes.
underscore.
It is not necessary if you don't want to convert this as a module. So now when I have these functions here and use it in a different file, now if I have to import the same thing here, what happens is space will create an breakage in pipeline in identifying the file name,
File name.
because yeah, so that is the reason I did not use. If you don't want to kind of convert this into a module, like if you don't want to convert this Python file into a module, having a space is completely fine. So
Okay, got
if
it.
you if you have some functions here and you want to use in a different file, then yes, you have to fill that space with some character, especially underscore should be better.
Got it. Thanks for
Yeah,
that.
great. Any other questions here? Please also do
Actually,
yeah, sorry.
yeah. Actually, from my end, the test module is not working.
I can help you in case. So I don't have anything in test module which is very complex. You have 2 lines here, and then some 3 lines here, and then some 2 lines here. I can help you out if you can share your
Yeah,
screen.
that is
I'll see what is
module
going
not
wrong there.
found error means no module name test found. Test
Yeah,
module is coming like error.
there might be a problem one common error, or the second problem might be that the Python file might not be in the same folder, so it will not be able to identify if this file is available or not. You can see all these files, 3 files are in the same folder for me. Just ensure that those are available in same folder. It will definitely work.
Share the screen.
Yeah, you can share the screen. I can help you more better.
Yeah.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, I have a question.
Please.
We were actually talking about slicing the array, you remember, and we kind of deviated into writing about the
Yes. Yeah.
modularity.
Yes.
So is that concept completed? I just kind of
This
got
is
confused there.
no slicing is a big concept when it comes to two-dimensional data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we did not extensively complete the slicing. We only kind of understood how we can slice with columns. So now tomorrow we will also understand how you can slice rows. Okay,
Okay.
so it is a different concept. So we also have some syntaxes to identify some value from some column or some specific data like rows from some column. Those all will be covered in next classes.
Sure, because it
Yeah.
was not very clear if we were if we had completed it or we
No,
were.
not at all completed. We have just touched on the superficial level of only slicing columns. So as
Okay,
you
okay,
already
got it.
saw that, yeah, 3 columns
Got it.
have been
Thanks.
sliced. Yeah, that's it. Thank
Thanks.
you. Yes.
Sri Krishna, you want to end the session with any
No, that other Vaishnavis, they're asking something, right? They're sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Are you able to share the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've just was able to note that
See,
yes.
no module name test module is error is coming. When I see this one.
Did you create a file called test module?
No.
Yep. So test module is a Python file actually. You need to create that file and create a function called print hi, and then as shown on my screen, those 3 lines of code should be available in the test module. Then only it will be able to identify. If not, it will throw you some error.
Okay, so how will create the test module?
Yeah, simply create a Python file called testmodule.py, like new Python file. Just rename this Python file as testmodule.py.
How to write test module?
Yeah, test underscore module. .py, or you can just
Okay.
save.
So desktop. May I
No,
tell?
wherever all your other files are available,
Yeah,
or
desktop
where.
I'm saving.
Okay, so you can save it on desktop accordingly. Yeah, so now you can do from like you can write this particular function called define print high, like def space print underscore high, and then you can pass on the argument called name inside that particular braces. No, not in quotations. Just remove quotations. Even like just only pass something called name. Yeah, that will also help. And
Okay.
then give a colon.
Okay.
And then in the next line, you just write print. Open the brace. Write F key like F alphabet, and then start the quotation marks. High space. In curly braces, just write YSHU and close the curly brace. Sorry guys, I just missed something here. The letter F, why I use is because I want to format the string using the keyword. So whenever you use F in curly braces, you can pass on any variable, and the value of the variable will be called instead of the string. So this is something, the string formatting, if you have already covered, you might have used string dot format and then have passed on the values. So that particular syntax can be avoided by simply putting a F keyword in the beginning of the string. So this is a shortcut to avoid that dot format thing in string formatting if you have already used.
Yeah, actually this team,
Yes, Amrit, that's covered.
this people did not use dot format, directly they jump to form F.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now in the previous file where you have actually called the check thing, now you can just run this particular file and print high should be working.
Now may I run?
Yeah, you can run these 2 lines here. Yeah, you can see high Vaishu has been printed.
Yes, I got.
So that file is missing. That's it. As I did not show you creating that file, you may have missed the step.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Yes.
Sorry for keeping you late.
No worries. I am all free. Please.
Yeah, there I see that from the file we are importing one function, right?
Yes.
What if I want to import multiple functions from that?
You can import any number of functions. So
using
just
comma separator.
Yes, comma separator. Absolutely right.
Instead, can I use any other?
Yes.
At least I came from Java background, so we'll say dot star. So it
Yes.
will import all the things. So
yeah, here also it is star.
Okay.
You can import all the functions at a time. But best practice is to use only the necessary functions until unless you need all the functions together.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So star is the same syntax from
Same
Java
thing.
and Python. Yeah, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else, guys? I can wait for a couple of minutes, absolutely.
Yeah, seems all are again sleeping. Okay. So
okay.
We are not sleeping. Some of us might having multiple stuff loaded all in a single session. Yeah.
I'll try to stick towards our bandas more from tomorrow, not deviating further in any other concept.
Yeah, it's
but,
okay. It's okay. Deviating because the Python is such a language, like we can move from one topic to other topic. But based on the, maybe people felt like 2D data, visualizing the 2D data, comprehending it, right? So it is a little different because generally in programming concepts, whoever use it, right? They use strings or arrays or something, right? When it comes to the two-dimensional data, it is little hard to digest. Yeah, but as part of the data analyst program, yeah, they need to do processing the data only. So this is the actual proper first step in the data analysis. So yeah, this is where it starts. Yes. Yeah, if not,
Just as an end note,
yeah, go.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, Sri Krishna, please continue.
Yeah. If somebody is feeling hard, it's okay. That is the usual thing, and they need to learn it. Okay. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Anup.
So, yeah. Just as an end note, maybe writing a code in maybe PyCharm or Spider and running the like what entire code all the time will be something uh, peculiar. We can use a different IDE, Jupyter Notebook, from tomorrow, or maybe Google Colab, which is a free version of uh, similar kind of Jupyter Notebook, which is very useful to visualize charts or maybe this two-dimensional data. Seeing this in a console and seeing it on a Jupyter Notebook is very different, and you will feel more comfortable as well. Maybe in first 5 minutes tomorrow, I'll try to show you that Jupyter IDE. If people are interested to follow Jupyter IDE for pandas or maybe data analysis especially, we will continue on that for only pandas especially, so that it will be comfortable for us to learn. If not, we can continue on Spider again. It is nothing compulsory, but it is comfortable if we kind of switch it to Jupyter, because we can see all in a structured manner one after other. So it is just that. Like once I show it tomorrow, please let me know if you are like comfortable with following Jupyter. We'll follow that, or else let's continue with Spider itself. And I don't want to push you further in learning anything else, or maybe giving you some resource. Whatever has been learned today, if you can remember this for tomorrow, this full for me to directly continue instead of recapping everything. So I'll kind of go into more uh, depth tomorrow, combining multiple syntaxes together, even including functions, so that it will be helpful for you to also go along with the like what function flow. I will increase your code modularity from here itself, and I'll try to make you better understand from tomorrow as well, with more better explanation. And please feel free to provide feedback. I don't have any hard feelings at all. No need to worry about that. And I have been added on WhatsApp group. Please feel free to drop your doubts as well. I'm happy to like what solve any doubts if you have in any other time period when you are practicing things. Thank you so much. And we can drop if nobody has any doubts in this.
Yeah, yeah, Anup, I have a quick question for you. So you have that the one method which is called as head, right? It is
Yes.
used to print the first 5 rows. What
Yes.
if I want to specify certain rows which are
That
not
is a
in?
good thing. So all you have to do is just write a number, how many you want here. So if you want to have 10 rows, you can just put 10. If you even want to have 100, you can put 100. So it is just that you specify how many number of rows you want to print, and in this particular braces, and it will print that many rows.
What if I want then specific rows like around a 5, 6, or 100 or 10 jumbling rows?
You can also use slicing method, which I will teach you tomorrow. Like you can say, if you want even rows to be printed, you can do that, or odd rows. Or maybe if you know that I want to print the rows from index 100 to 150, then you can just print only that rows using row slicing, which I will be covering tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, guys? I can take silence as no, and we can drop for today. I'm happy to join back tomorrow covering more. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you, Anup. Yeah, thank you, team. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.